What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and today we've got some pretty interesting news to talk about in terms of Destiny, and of course the Rise of Iron DLC, which is definitely the hot topic right now. We've got quite a few developments in terms of the Rise of Iron, which you guys will definitely want to know about, and of course Bungie's official reveal stream on the 9th is getting even closer, so it's not long before we know everything about what's going on. So firstly, the big news is that Bungie have actually trademarked the name Rise of Iron. If you go to the page, which I'll link in the description, you'll see all of Bungie's actual trademarks, and we can see the same place that we saw the Taken King first trademarked this time last year. That was the first time we ever saw anything about the Taken King, and it was right here on this page, and it's been very inactive until recently, when last week they actually trademarked some Sparrow stuff, but yesterday they trademarked Rise of Iron. That means it's official, this is 100% a legit Bungie thing, and Rise of Iron is of course legit. Of course, we had no doubts up until now. We know Rise of Iron is legit. There are a lot of signs pointing towards this being a real thing for Destiny, but seeing it on this page as an actual trademark that is officially and legally now binding under Bungie Inc., we know that Rise of Iron is going to be a thing coming, but the question now is, what is it going to be? So of course, up until now, we all pretty much assumed that Rise of Iron is the fall expansion, and it was this big thing that Bungie have talked about for a while, and Activision also confirmed there will be a fall expansion coming, and we all assumed that Rise of Iron is going to be it, but this page actually might suggest otherwise. If you look at the actual trademark descriptions, the dart below, the House of Wolves, and also the Taken King, which are all DLCs, they're all trademarked under downloadable video games. Whereas the Eververse trading company, the Sparrows, and also Rise of Iron are marked as interactive games software. So that's pretty interesting. They're actually marked under different things. So Eververse is based like micro DLC, and it's not like a real game. It's just kind of like a thing in-game they've trademarked, and that's down as interactable game software. Whereas the dart below, the House of Wolves and Taken King, which are all massive things, those are all downloadable video games. So this kind of suggests that Rise of Iron might not be on the same level as the Taken King, and possibly the Rise of Iron could be some kind of micro DLC or some kind of summer event or live event team. It could be something smaller than the expansions, because this page definitely indicates that it's on the same level and same category legally as Eververse, the trading company, and the Sparrows. So it's very confusing. The terminology of the trademark could just mean nothing. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly what it means. Maybe the descriptions of the trademarks don't actually mean anything and aren't actually relevant, and perhaps this is from now on what they're always going to be marking all of their expansions as interactable game software. So perhaps this means Rise of Iron is something smaller. Maybe it's like a new event like Trials of Osiris, for example, that's going to be launching in the summer, and with microtransactions is from the live team. We don't know exactly what the Rise of Iron is. All we know that Rise of Iron is 100% legitimate, and it is a thing that's going to be coming at some point for Destiny. Now, going down that road of possibly the Rise of Iron not being expansion, the name did always throw me, and the fact there is no the in the name. For the dart below, it was the dart below and the Taken King and also the House of Wolves. But with Rise of Iron, it's just Rise of Iron. It's not the Rise of Iron. So the name is always a little bit strange. I always thought that maybe the would be something that's kind of a recurring theme among the Destiny expansions. Maybe it's just nothing, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the name of it was always a little bit strange in the fact that it didn't line up with all the other expansions. Although on the other side, the way the actual poster was designed, it does seem like it would be an expansion with the yellow theme underneath it and the little kind of icon that we've seen on all the other expansions. With the Dart Below first expansion, we saw the little green square underneath it. With the House of Wolves, we saw a little blue square. With the Taken King, we didn't have a square, but it had kind of this red Taken King icon. And then, of course, with the Rise of Iron, we've got this kind of yellow golden square underneath it. So in terms of these little kind of design aspects, it does seem to match up with the other expansions that we've had so far. And even though it's just a little box on a poster, it does seem to match up with the recurring theme of all the expansions so far for Destiny, and it's something small they always put into all the promotional art for their expansions. Now, the main thing that has me going down the route that this might be an expansion and that the Rise of Iron is not just a summer event is that Kotaku, of course, did say this is the fall expansion. Of course, Kotaku have been very reliable in the past, and they've got some inside sources at Bungie, and they did say this is going to be the fall expansion with the Fallen Raid that started development last summer. So if that's something to believe, then this could be the actual fall expansion and not just a summer event. But at this point, like I said, it could go either way, and no one's really too sure what the Rise of Iron is. All we know is that it's definitely a real thing that's going to be happening at some point for Destiny. Now, I personally am leaning towards the side that this is going to be the expansion we get in the fall, simply because both Bungie and Activision did come out and say that they've got a very big update, the biggest thing since the Taken King, which was the April update, and then later we've got a fall expansion. I think if there was something in between, they probably would have said, and they probably would have wanted to hype it up. So I do think there isn't anything else, and I think this is simply the fall expansion. But like I said, no one seems really too sure, and it could go either way what the actual Rise of Iron is. Now, the next bit of pretty interesting news about this Rise of Iron stuff is there was a Reddit post recently, which I'll link in the description, stating how it's possible this Rise of Iron could launch within 30 days of Bungie doing their reveal stream. It was a post basically saying that since the House of Wolves, Taken King, and April update, all three were released within 30 days of the first Bungie stream, suggesting that this could be a possibility. And Eric Osborne, once again, he always does this, but he came out and pretty much debunked it and said negatory on the 30 days stuff. negatory meaning no or negative, basically saying this will not launch within 30 days. Of course, he didn't mention Rise of Iron by name, but it's probably the closest confirmation we've gotten about its actual content, and he's basically saying this will not launch within 30 days of the Bungie stream, which is pretty interesting they actually did that. And once again, it's an example of him curbing expectations and making sure the community doesn't get hyped about something and doesn't expect this launch in 30 days. So suggesting this will be launching in the fall, and again, kind of more evidence that maybe the Rise of Iron is the actual full expansion. Now, the final bit of news is something pretty interesting and definitely very lighthearted, I've noticed on Twitter. Isn't too much to be taken that seriously. Now, this is some stuff that's been done on Twitter by a lot of Bungie employees, and it's all pretty much hinting at Rise of Iron and the things we've seen so far. The first one is from Christopher Barrett, who of course is a game director. You've probably seen him a lot with the Taken King, and he had a big involvement with that. He tweeted out an image recently just of a picture of an iron, which is themed off of Iron Man. So it's facing Iron Man iron, and again, that's close to the name of Rise of Iron. So maybe it's something lighthearted, maybe it's an inside joke that I don't get, but this is very much a joke at Rise of Iron, and it's just a picture, no caption, so that was pretty funny in itself. If you also look at Eric Osborne's Twitter banner, you can see this is a picture of the Cosmodrome and the actual wall, which we're very familiar with, and this is actually the exact same image and the same part of the wall that Lord Saladin is standing in front of in that leaked image we got before. It's the same spot, and the fact he changed his banner to this very recently in the past few days could be suggesting something. And also Deej in the past few days changed his Twitter banner to this image that we got in the blog post, which is a bunch of Guardians wearing the Iron Banner armor. So the way I'm seeing this is pretty much a lot of teasers and hints towards the Rise of Iron, and definitely seems like the kind of thing they would do, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this stuff? There's definitely a lot of hype around Rise of Iron right now. We know it's a thing, we don't know exactly what it is. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and a roundup of all the latest Destiny news. Make sure to give the video a like rating if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my future content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.